Are you struggling for consistency in your sim racing? Does your iRating look like a roller coaster? If so, we have good news for you. The way to get more consistent is to first understand what you're doing differently than the professionals. And VRS is the answer. With our competitive subscription, you will have the telemetry, setups, tutorials, and everything else you need to fully analyze your driving. Our data packs and the ability to compare your driving with the best in the world will show you exactly where to adjust your inputs, change your driving line, and shave seconds off of your lap times. And our powerful and precise Direct Force Pro wheelbase and precision pedals are being used by some of the world's best drivers. All these champions agree that VRS hardware is not just the best on the market, it's also priced well below the competition. So if you're looking to upgrade to direct drive and the best pedals in sim racing, VRS is your answer. If you want to get better, get faster, and make it happen sooner rather than later, you owe it to yourself to find out why so many people are switching to VRS. You'll be so glad that you did. Visit www.virtualracingschool.com and learn why the best use VRS.
Welcome everybody to the 24th season of the Extreme Motorsports Ricmotech Touring Car Cup, presented by the SCCA Foundation and Performa Elite here on Apex Racing TV. I'm Greg Ginsburg with Larry Lefty McLeod joining me in the commentary box tonight, and we've got director extraordinaire Jonathan Grabowski working behind the scenes to give you all of tonight's best action. So tonight, for round number 3 of the championship, our MX-5 Cup and GR86 Cup drivers head south of the equator to the track built between two lakes, that's Interlagos, and as it's commonly known, the Autodroma Jose Carlos Pache. It's a circuit built into the land known for its constant elevation changes and atypical counterclockwise layout, where tonight, for the first time this season, we'll have two 30-minute sprint races rather than our standard 60-minute race format. And with those shorter races, Larry, comes a very different strategy.
It certainly does. You've got to be near the front both times, because we're only going to 30 minutes at a time. There's no fuel stops needed. And that just brings all kinds of excitement. And you lay all that onto, as you described, this little track here between the lakes, Interlagos. Yes, people know this track for Formula One and its high speed, but they also remember there's some really good battles at the Formula One level in Formula One cars. Just imagine if you take away, I don't know, about 80% of the horsepower and all the downforce, and you're left with little draft cars like Miatas and GR86s. The racing will be through the roof. It's going to be so good. Packs of 6, 7, 8, 9 cars for the entire 30 minutes each. I'm so looking forward to tonight's race.
Indeed, there are I think 3 huge drafting zones and 1 incredibly long, bringing you all the way to the checkered flag. It is going to make for some absolutely obscene racing here tonight, Larry. Well, let's do this. Why don't we turn things over to Kevin Ford? He's going to give us tonight's track guide of Interlagos, and we'll be back and give you some more information about tonight and how everything plays out after that track guide.
Welcome everyone to Sao Paulo, Brazil, and the Autodrome de Interlagos circuit. It is an amazing track to drive. built all the way back in 1940, if you can believe that. Great sunny day for our track guide, so let's get things rolling as we head up the front straightaway. You'll notice our pit area to the left, our main grandstands to the right as we cross the stripe there. And head over this little hill. It brings us down into the downhill heavy brake zone into turn 1. This can be quite daunting, especially at the start of races. We've got cars 2x2 trying to get through here. Now down through 2, and then wide open through 3 here. We'll get up through the gears, get a nice run up off of 3, and this will bring us out onto the first straightaway here at Interlagos. One of, well, really 2 here, actually. This will be a heavy brake zone going down into turn 4 here. You want to get that car to rotate early as you've got to really watch that exit. You don't want to get too far out there. You will pick up an off track. Coming out of 5 now, we'll stay track right here. We'll come back track left as our next corner is turn 6 to the right. Just a little brush of the brake. Down into 3rd gear now to get that car to rotate and punch up off that exit. Now, heavy braking here into turn 8. This will bring us down into the tight wrapping hairpin of 9. You want to use up every bit of that bottom of that corner to get that car to rotate. Use up that exit. Heading up into turn 10 now. Down through the gears, back to the floor. Get a good run up off the exit. This will bring us back to the left through 11, and then ultimately to turn 12. Heavy brake zone here, but you do want to carry a lot of speed through the apex so you can get a good run up the hill. And especially with a low horsepower car like this, you need every bit of momentum off of that final turn. So we went through turn 13 there. This will bring us around turn 14. These are actually counted bends at this track, or corners if you will. And you are allowed to cut the corner here to come down through turn 15. Here we go, up towards the stripe once again. There you go. There's your track guide for the amazing Autodrome de Interlagos. Thank you for being with us.
All right, thanks so much to Kevin Ford for tonight's track guide of the Autodrome Carlos Pache Interlagos. And Larry, as you said, and you know, when you see Kevin going around in that Mazda MX-5, you can just see the long expanse of some of these zones where cars are just going to be drafting up on one another, probably more so than any other track. Well, certainly more so than Zandvoort, more so than at our first round. I mean, we were going to see far more drafting than perhaps any other venue that we're at this season.
Yeah, I have run on this track a lot in some different leagues that I race in. We also use these 2 cars, and I can tell you that those nights you salivate at the opportunity to run 2 and 3 and sometimes 4 wide in these little cars, and you can do 2 wide the entire track. There is no place where you just, you know, some tracks will say, oh, you can go side by side except for there. This place doesn't have one of those spots. You know, it's not the flattest. There's definitely undulations, even through the corners. There's some banked turns, but you go with it, you flow with it. It's wide, it's flowing, it's spectacular, and it creates great finishes, but it creates great racing all along the way. And I'm looking forward to it because we've got good talent in all of our classes that's going to come out. I think that talent's going to have a fight in their hands tonight to try and gather max points. And we get to do it twice. You do it once, we're going to regrid and do it a second time. This is just going to be so much fun.
And we were just on board a few moments ago there with the Klimovich machine, I guess the number 21 machine, or I think as somebody referred to it in the chat as the P Green machine. There's David Klimovich, who was our winner at round number 2 in the Club Sport AM category in his very first outing with us here in the Touring Car Cup, and he's got a ton of fans. Well, yeah, a ton of fam, but a ton of fans sitting in the YouTube chat right now, Larry. So we've got our drivers. They are heading out now, and most are on their out lap currently here and getting ready to put in their very first flying laps. And we do have, as you can see and have seen, we've got 2 different cars out on track, 2 different types of cars. We've got our Mazda MX-6, MX-5 Cup cars, like David Payton from D2D Sim Racing is running here. And then we've got those Toyota GR86 Cup cars, like Mr. Klimovich was racing just a few moments ago, or Bobby Childs.
Fan favorite.
Yeah, yeah, fan favorite. Hi, Stubby. And there you go. That's a typical move by Bobby Childs there with a nice little off track. But what we also do is we split those car types into two different classes, pro and am. Obviously, Bob's an amateur. No, actually, Bobby is in our pro
He's
class.
in our pro.
Yeah, just drives like an amateur. But what we'll do is let's give you a quick little rundown here as drivers are starting to set their first flying laps here this evening and how we pick them out. And we'll start off with the car there. We'll use that as an example. Russ Ruddick driving the number 95. That is one of our Club Sport racers, and he is in Club Sport Pro, probably Club Sport Am, and we can pick out the Club Sport Am cars as Ruddick crosses the stripe because they've got the orange number boards and mirrors, and in the case of the Toyotas, they've got the orange end plates on their wings. Can you tell I'm having a little trouble getting words out tonight, Larry? But let's move over now to our AM drivers in the street tuner category. All right, and those are our MX-5s. And the way you pick out the street tuners, there you go. Steve Daniel, I believe, is our only one that had set a time already, but we're on board with another one of our street tuner AM drivers. That is Victor Harris driving the number 52 machine. You can pick out the street tuner AM cars because they've got the green number boards and green mirrors on the cars. And so if we move over, let's take a look at Street Tuner Pro, and we'll pick out one of our pro drivers here, like Chris Thorman from D2D Sim Racing, and he's awfully far away, but he's going to be coming right into our view. There he is. And the pro Street Tuner Pro cars, they've got the red mirrors and red number boards on their cars. And then in Club Sport, our pro drivers, you will notice that they have the black number boards and black mirrors. Let's take a look at one of our Club Sport AM drivers, or probably Club Sport Pro drivers, like Andrew Sharp right here, driving the number 24 Toyota, as he goes to the top of the leaderboard, and looks like he's going to bring the car in after completing one flying lap with a 152.59. Actually, no, I guess that's true. He comes all the way down to that pit entry. As we saw in Kevin's track guide, you can come all the way down to the inside there to straighten out that big corner. And he doesn't improve this second time by, but Larry, awfully consistent. A 152.59 on his first lap, a 152.599 on his second lap.
That's consistency. And I've driven a lot of laps around this place. I can tell you that there's two places I think that really kind of define whether you're going to get a good lap or a bad lap around here, because the middle part of the lap is pretty consistent. You can hit those marks pretty well. There's 2 points. One of them, your turn in at turn 1. How well can you get the car woe down from the fastest part of the track to probably the slowest part of the track and down through the center S's? You do that well, you're going to get a pretty good lap. The other is coming off of the final corner, leading you onto that longest straight, because that will define how well you climb that steep hill all the way to the top where start finish is. You can see that great view going up the hill here. You do those 2 things, you're going to get a really good lap. Everything in between is pretty much just manage the car. And you'll watch when we get into race trim, it'll be the same thing. You get that great run off of this corner here that we're watching Mike Dam go through. You get a good run through here, you're going to gain on or from the person in front of you, or you'll check out whoever's behind you, and you watch Mike Dam come down there. It is so smooth and so fast. Look at that lap time he's putting down. He's sub 152 around here.
Yeah, look at that, Larry. On his second flying lap, Mike Dam going to the top of the leaderboard, puts in a 151.98, almost a half second faster than Andrew Sharp. And we saw that, you know, as he came out of turn 12 and started to make that big run uphill, up and around towards that start-finish line, how he straightened that thing out as much as possible and tried to bring that car on as short a distance as possible to the start-finish line, and again allowed him to set fastest lap. And now we've got 2 Canadians up as our fastest drivers, our second fastest driver is Matt Porter, and he goes to the top of the leaderboard in Club Sport Pro, Club Sport being our Toyotas, turns in a 152.31, and that is currently about 0.2 of a second, actually 0.3 of a second faster than Andrew Sharp, who was at the time our second fastest Toyota driver. But Eric Violette now from D2D Sim Racing goes to the top of the leaderboard in the Toyotas with a 152.17. And so if we go and look at the Mazdas, it's Dam, then his teammate Travis Schwenke, and then their teammate Robert Hartley rounding out the top three there in the Mazdas. Now, Larry, we did mention it before, but although qualifying runs for 15 minutes and we're just a little bit less than 10 minutes in, we give our drivers 4 opportunities. We give them 4 flying laps in order to set their fastest time and set the grid for tonight's race. And the way we will grid them up is we will grid all the Mazdas together. We will then grid the Toyotas separately. What determines which group takes the checker or takes the green flag first is going to be who is our pole sitter.
And that sometimes change hands. If you take a look at our timing tower, the ticker there on the screen, you can see the ST Pros. Mike Dam has the quickest overall lap. That's got the Miatas right now ahead of the Club Sports GR86s, and that's Eric Violette currently on provisional pole. Dam is working on, as we got a view of him here, on his 4th and final lap right now. Eric Violette's still only on his 2nd lap, so he's got some time. He tends to wait till the end of sessions to go out and set his times, but right now on provisional pole, the others chasing him. Matt Porter, he's on his final lap. Andrew Sharp looks like he's bailed on his final lap. So over in Club Sport Pro, there's still some chances to catch Eric, but the ST Pro side, it's right now Orion 1, Orion 2, and Orion 3 with Dam, Schwenke, and Hartley.
Yeah, and if we take a look at Club Sport Pro, Andrew Sharp from Vermilion is currently sitting 3rd. He was, and what we're going to do real quick here, if you don't mind, John, going to take a quick look back at the last round. Andrew Sharp was our winner at Zandvoort in Club Sport Pro over Eric Violette, and Violette is currently our provisional pole sitter in the class. Mariano Barrios finishing in 3rd, and if we take a look at the point standings now in that class, it is Eric Violette who by nature of him finishing on the podium 2 rounds in a row, is currently your points leader with 128 points. He is 2 points clear of Mariano Barrios from Friendly Neighborhood Racing, and then Andrew Sharp, again last round's winner, sitting currently tied with Barrios at 126. Brandon Whitworth running in 3rd, and we're going to have an interview guest here in just a moment, but let's take a look at some of these other point standings. In Club Sport, or probably in Street Tuner Pro, those are the Mazdas. Mike Dam was your winner. He started in 4th position, but took the win by 6/1000ths of a second, Larry. It was, and we saw it coming on the very last lap. Actually, we saw it coming about a half a lap before the finish. An amazing photo finish between the 2 Orion Racing teammates. Mike Chase from Chase Motorsports finished in 3rd. And so let's take a look at the point standings in Street Tuner Pro. It is Mike Dam right now with 133 points, 11 points up on his teammate Robert Hartley, and only 2 points back from there is Travis Schwenke. Then we've got Jeff Cranston, who is our season 23 AM champion, and he is sitting right now back 4th with 112 points. Brendan Horn sitting a few points back from there. Let's look at the AMs here quickly, and we will stay in Street Tuner, where 2 weeks ago at Zandvoort only had 2 competitors. One was Victor Harris, and the second was Steve Daniel. Unfortunately, 2 laps into the race, Daniel fell off the course, making it an easy win for Victor Harris. And if we take a look at the point standings currently, it is Steve Daniel, though, still your points leader, and that's because of Victor. That round at Zandvoort was his very first round in the TCC, so welcome here. But Steve Daniel with 2 races under his belt, and we're going to start introducing. We've got 1 drop during the season. We'll start incorporating that drop in next week. And so finally, if we take a look at Club Sport AM, David Klimovich, he was your winner in his initial outing here in the Touring Car Cup by 10 seconds over Tom Jenkins, who is waiting for us in the green room right now. Paul Carey finishing in third. If we take a look at the point standings, it is Russ Ruddick from Flying Tortoise Motorsports, currently your points leader by 1 point over Paul Carey. We then have Rodney Carey. They are 5 points separating each of those drivers. And Tom Jenkins, he's sitting fourth, but he's only a point back right now from Rodney Carey. So again, only 2 rounds in, everything is still very tough. Let's do this, Larry. Let's bring in Tom Jenkins from Midfield Motorsports. He's driving a Club Sport AM Toyota this season. And where did he moved green rooms on me. He's like
hiding.
He's shifting around the big, expansive Apex Racing TV broadcast center. So let's bring him in. As we mentioned, finished second last round, currently sitting fourth in the championship.
All right, Tom Jenkins is joining us here. So Tom, looks like you got your qualifying in. Are you excited for this format at this draft intense track?
I am. It will be interesting. The Miatas are going to be faster than us, I think, overall. So as long as they don't catch us, but within 30 minutes, we should be safe.
Yeah, we'll see. I don't know. You get to do a couple of rounds in this 30-minute stuff, which means I guess the target is to be into that top 5 and get that inverse for the second race. But you've been in a pretty good battle already. It looks like through the last couple of races on the podium last time. You got eyes on podiums tonight?
Yeah, I think I will. I've been running pretty well. Obviously, last season I finished third in the season, so I'm looking to improve on that this year. And since I had such a horrible race from my first one, it's going to have to be really solid finishes for the rest of the season.
Yeah, it looks like tonight you got some pretty good company there. You got Klimovich in front of you, and you got Russ Ruddick and Carey, and you got a few others in there. So you got to try and stick with those guys, or you think you got a little something for them and maybe even check out?
It's probably going to be sticking with them. It'll just depend on how the draft goes. I didn't get a chance to do a whole lot of draft practice, so we will have to see how it all works out in the end.
All right, well, it sounds like Grid is getting ready. So, Tom, good luck tonight. With any luck, maybe we'll get a chance to see you or talk to you in about an hour.
All right, thanks, guys. Have a good one.
All right, there you go. Tom Jenkins from Midfield Motorsports. I want to thank him for joining us, Larry. And you know what, Larry, even though we were told that we were going to be gridding things up by car type, yeah, it doesn't look like that's happening unless our waiting for word from race control.
Well, sometimes what they've been known to do, for those that may be new viewers, is they've been known to adjust the grid as needed. So they'll manually pull out at this point if they are going to leave. Yeah, if they pull the Miatas out, they'll pull them out one by one in order, and they'll announce those. And probably do the same thing then with the Toyotas behind. We'll let them do that rather than having this grid that looks like a nice intermixed MX-5s and GR86s out there.
And then we'll try and run down the grid because, we only have, what, Larry, about, we'll have about a half a lap and about a mile and a half in order to get
That's true. This is even the short pace lap setup.
Oh, that's
here
right.
As well,
all right. So tell you what, let's try. I'll make a run at it here. There you go. All right. We'll at least give it to you and break it down by class here. We'll start off with Street Tuner Pro. These are the Mazda Miatas. Mike Dam from Orion is your pole sitter with Travis Schwenke starting second in class. Then we've got Robert Hartley and Chris Thorman, and believe it or not, that's actually how it plays out on track. Then we've got David Payton, and then we will have Victor Harris, who is our AM category pole sitter. Then we will have Brennan Horan, then Steve Daniel, Jeff Cranston, and Greg Mack will round out your Mazdas.
Yep, and over in the GR86s, in the Club Sports, on the pole tonight, Eric Violette with that 52-1. He will be alongside Matt Porter on his outside there from Orion Race Team. Is Matt on the second row, as it shows there, it should be correct. Andrew Sharp on the inside of Vermilion Motorsports alongside Leo Dragotta from Orion. But I think actually just in front of him is going to be David Klimovich, the highest qualifying AM driver, is going to slip into row 2 right there, push Leo Dragotta down to row 3, lined up with Brandon Whitworth from D2D Sim Racing on row 3. On row 4, it's going to be Tom Rathke and Jeff Jacobs. Row 5 will be Tom Jenkins. We just talked to him. He's second going to start the grid in AM. He'll be alongside Bobby Childs. Then he'll be followed by Russ Ruddock and Paul Carey, a couple AM drivers there. Rodney Carey, another AM driver lined up with, it says Kevin Ford. I'm not sure if Kevin's going to make the grid tonight. Mariano Barrios, he ran about a half a lap of qualifying. He's shown here near the back of the pack. Could be one to watch for. And then finally, Rich Ellinger, if he joins the session, I don't see him in there yet, he would be at the back of the grid. But keep your eye on Mariano Barrios there in the Club Sports.
All right, so we've got, again, this shorter pace lap, kind of running away from the Mazdas at the moment. We will be going racing here in just a moment as they start to make that run up the hill, and you'll see them as they come around the curve over here at turn 14. You'll start to see that that pit in apron there to their left. They'll come around, get ready for the green flag. Now, as we do here in the Touring Car Cup, we have a live starter, and they will give the start command. And when they do, there they go. Green flag is in the air. In about 10 seconds or so from now, we'll see the Toyotas come around the corner, and they will get the command to go racing. But first, Eric Violette comes across the front of Matt Porter. He's going to be the first into turn number 1 as drivers start to get in line, coming down through 1 and into the Senna S's here. And Larry, you know, we always see turn 1 is that bottleneck. We saw what it did in Formula 1 this past year, but everybody in the Mazdas through clean, or probably in the Toyotas through clean, as the Mazdas now are coming up towards turn number 1. They take the green, and look at all 3 Orion cars there at the front of the field. Our pole sitter, Mike Dam, moves down to the inside. Sliding in the second, it's going to be Travis Schwenke, then Robert Hartley, then D2D is Chris Thorman. It looks like Tom Rathke took to the pit lane, and it looks like he had some issues on the opening.
He did in the he's in the Club Sport Pro in one of those Toyotas, so he's down a pit lane. Great start in this group here from Rob Hartley. Jumped up to 3rd, was able to get around Thorman in there, or he's able to hold that spot. Let's see if he can catch up to Dan and Schwenke, his teammates, up in the front. As we keep an eye on Victor Harris, the lone AM in that group with the green mirrors. And maybe we got a replay they queued up of what may have happened to Tom Rathke.
All right, here we go on the rundown into turn number 1.
Turn 4, actually.
Turn 4. Oh, that's right. Yeah. Oh,
he
yeah.
may have
right.
had some help.
Oh, yeah.
Under braking there, going into turn 4, and Rathke hits that wall, and yeah, that's going to be some damage. Lucky for him, we've got another race coming up in about 28 minutes that he can be a part of. Look at this already, Chris Norman in that number 60 for D2D. Right there on the back of this pack. I told you this place is draft city. You cannot break the draft around here. It's going to look like this for the next 8.5 minutes.
Well, and you can see here, Larry, there is still a line and no more than about a car length to 2 car lengths separating each one of our Mazdas, of our Club Sport cars, going from the front to the back. All right, let's jump back over to Street Tuner. And this is the battle for the lead. And Larry, it's not all that much different here in the Toyotas.
It's almost a breakaway. The 4 cars at the front there, Violet, Porter, Sharp, and your AM leader, David Klimovich. The Klim Clam and Klim fan are going to be going crazy on that.
Klim Club, Larry.
I'm seeing Klim Fam as well. So maybe he's got some family out there. But for Mr. Klimovich, he is up into 4th overall, top in the AM category, on the heels of Sharp, Porter, and Violet. As there's no action determined by the stewards in that incident between Rathke and Bobby Childs. So whatever happened there, they're saying racing incident. They're going to move on. But look at this group here as they are going through it. There's Bobby right there. There's the culprit. No penalty assigned, but here he is in his little battle between he and Mariano Barrios. I told you, look out for Mariano. He's been fast in these cars, starting at the back of the pack. Yeah, he can be one to watch, certainly in that second race. What did we say? Top 5 at the finishing order of the first race will invert in the second?
That's right. Top 5 from the Mazdas, top 5 from the Toyotas get inverted.
And Mariano's going to look and try to become one of those to help himself in that second race. And but look at this group here. You've got, 9 cars all grouped together, led by Mike Dam, Schwenke, Hartley, Thorman, Payton, all just lined up right down the order. And then you get your AM leader in there, Victor Harris, ahead of the other Ram driver, Steve Daniels. So Harris in this opening train. Pretty good grouping of Miatas there.
As we're on board right now with Chris Thorman in the D2D sim racing machine, as he has to look at the rear end of the 3 Orion racers directly ahead, and he's got Thorman's got one of his teammates directly behind, but you see there is Hartley's just pushing Schwenke up the hill.
Yes, he is. He knows how this game. Hartley is essentially a specialist, if you don't know, in MX-5s. He's got one of those crazy high ratings. This is what he's his best at. Yes, he's starting third. He's got some fast teammates, but he knows the game is what it means. He knows how to play these cars down to the last lap in a 30-minute sprint, probably better than anybody around here. So not to be aggressive too early. You sit back, you stay in the top 3, and you wait to sort this out. Right now, that top 3, his teammates.
All right, as they complete lap number 2. And yeah, I forgot, Larry, where that pit egg, that's for the alternative pits, and that's what threw me off a couple laps ago. But here we go.
Yeah, that pit out for the pit lane here is all the way past the Senna S's, almost as you're approaching down towards turn 4. So yeah, those S's, they're all the way downhill, and they sort of peek around that last curve of the Sol before you have that pit out. But a couple long straightaways, and they're about to get onto one of them as we're riding along Andrew Sharp here. He's trailing Porter and Violet. Look at all they're using every ounce of the little brick grass layer on the edge as they enter the long straightaway. Arquibancadas, something like that, if I can pronounce my Portuguese. Portuguese.
Portuguese, exactly. Turn, or as I like to call it, turn 15. All right. So that's French.
Oui, oui.
That's right. All right. So it is. We've got Violet, who's now opened up about 3 car lengths on Matt Porter. Now you'll notice very different paint job from Porter than what the other Orion racers on the Mazda side of the house are running. But Porter, also part of that Orion racing team, and has joined us this season in the TCC, and currently running second. Andrew Sharp running third. Klimovich still leading the AMs, and he's got, Larry, 4 pro drivers behind him, separating him from Tom Jenkins, who's currently running second in AM. So he's got a little bit of a buffer there.
He does. He got a good buffer, but unfortunately, he's got now a buffer in front of him as well. A few minutes ago, we were talking about how he was on the tail of the top 3 in the pro category. They've put some daylight now. So Violet, Porter, and Sharp, the 3 pro drivers, have about almost 2 seconds to this battle of Klimovich, Leo Dragota, who's in pro there in the number 118. He's going to try ducking the inside. Is Dragota, is it going to stick? This is where you see the side-by-sides as this track plays out. That nice line for Klimovich looks like it's going to hold for now. And then, of course, you got, and that's Whitworth then running in the third of these 3.
Yeah, as Klimovich stayed down to the inside, made Dragota make a long run around the outside. And you can see there as he came over the crest of the hill, just had lost room.
Oh, that's Russ.
Russ Ruddick having some issues there, going grass cutting for us.
Yeah, that is a big off right there, but you could probably watch a bit of a replay there. Russ Ruddick, why don't we go ahead and cue that one up? And there's Russ.
Don't see anybody around him, Larry. Let's see here if he just runs.
So
wide.
These cars get tippy on this little tight turn here at I think that's turn 8, and that's look like it happens. It kind of gets a positive camber down to the inside. The cars get almost twitchy. They want to rotate so well, and it looks like it just came around and lost the back end.
Yeah, you know, and we've said it over and over again with those cars. The weight transfer on them can be quite dramatic, and if you're not smooth with the throttle application, that's exactly what will happen. All right, here as we jump back to the Mazdas, back over to over to Street Tuner. Pardon me, I'm going to get one of these seasons. I'm going to get this right, or I could just take a look at the ticker on the left-hand side of the screen. Oh yeah, and look at those red mirrors and red number boards to pick out that those are the Street Tuner Pro drivers.
And
the 3
and the green AM right back there, the number 52 Harris.
That's right. The Harris machine, very close behind. There we go, as he's tucked in right behind the two D2D sim racers of Thorman and Peyton. And you know, he's right in that pack, and he's got another D2D racer directly behind him, Brennan Warren. You know, but he's the only AM driver in that first pack there. Steve Daniel in the number 96 SKKJ machine. A little bit further back, he actually leads the second pack there. Actually, and it's not much of a pack. It's kind of just him.
Yeah, this little pack is interesting. Of course, you got the 3 Orions out in front, and then you've got 3 D2D drivers making up the next 4. So you got a lot of teams in there. The top 6 in the pro category are essentially all together with that 1 AM leader there. So that makes it interesting. In that pack, this 3 have made themselves a full-on breakaway as Eric Violet, Matt Porter, Andrew Sharp. You can barely put a piece of paper between any of them, as the top 3 are just nose to tail, trying to figure out their strategies. And then the next 3 are in line, now led by Leo Jagoda. Brandon Whitworth has also slipped past David Klimovich, still leading in AM, but Klimovich now is 6th overall in the club sports.
And it looks as though, as we had Dragoda, Whitworth, and Klimovich battling it out for 4th overall, Jeff Jacobs in the number 38 machine made up a decent amount of ground there. Was about 0.6 of a second faster than the 3 drivers ahead, and it looks like he is still, even without the benefit of the draft lottery, making up some ground on those 3.
Yeah, you can do that, especially the 3 in front of you. Start doing that kind of stuff you see right there that our front 3 are doing. You start going side by side. You can do it, but you slow down probably about 2-3 tenths every corner you do it on. So you do this 3-4 times, you lose about a second. Now you look at this as the line switches from being the outside to the inside and back again, as now Porter still trying to find his way back around, not able to do it here. But look at how quickly they fall back 8 tenths from Eric Violet.
And even with that, Larry, Violet had dropped the wheel off into the grass while the 2 were fighting behind him, got the car very loose, and still was able to manage to recover and still increase his lead over these 2.
Watch Porter here. Let's see if he just pushes Sharp in front of him to try and close that gap. He stepped out briefly earlier. I'm wondering if he's hesitating, pushing Sharp, but if he wants to win this race, he needs to probably work a little bit with Sharp.
And now he closes up on him.
Yeah, just maybe a little bit too late to do any pushing. I don't think he's doing it. If anything, he's just helping the draft a little bit, but he needs to work up there. Sharp needs to get, and he does look like he had a decent set of S's. Let's see what kind of run he gets. They got to be careful. You don't want to get this more than about 1 second. It'll be tough to catch Violet. He's quick and everything. You don't want to give him the advantage of a big pocket of air between you and he.
Now, in practice this week, Matt Porter was our fastest driver, but you know, again, big difference between practice and actual race time here, and what race pace is, and we're seeing here where Violet is starting to pick up his pace somewhat here as we jump back to the lead in Street Tuner. And Larry, they're starting to come up to the back of. Is that? Looking to see who that is. That's not the Cranston machine. That is, I think, directly ahead of him. I guess it's one of the Carey machines. It's Paul Carey. Yeah. In the 141 car.
Yeah, so they're going to get up there, which means Paul Carey's got to worry about what's going on behind him because these Miatas are moving fast. But what they're not doing is nobody's stepping out of line. Everybody's staying absolutely in check. I think when we get into the last 10 minutes, it's going to be a complete free-for-all. When you're within like that last 5-6 laps, these guys are all just sort of playing it real close to the vest right now. Nobody, because they know if they step out for just a second to try and make a pass, both those 2 cars will slow down. So the only one right now that could try to make a pass would probably be Schwenke. Because it would slow the whole train down. But as you can see, he's not doing that. He's staying in line, doesn't want to let Mike off the hook. So let's just see if these teammates play nice up front. The teammates behind do the same.
The question is when they come up on the 141 machine, on Paul Carey, you know, in real life racing, you look in your mirror and you may see 1 car or 2 cars. You're not going to see all 7 of them back there. I think Carey's going to have to take a quick look at that. Take a quick look at his black box and determine that he's got a lot of cars there. They're going to start to freight train him in a few moments.
Well, you talked about Jeff Jacobs and how he was a little bit quicker than the group of 3 in front of him. He's closed that gap entirely. Now he's on the tale of Klim Club's own Klimovich, your AM leader, 6th overall, and now Klimovich looks in his mirror and he can see that blue and white hood there of Jeff Jacobs. Jeff Jacobs wanting now to maybe get up there, or maybe at least help push Klimovich up to the back of Whitworth.
To the two ahead of him, yeah.
So we'll see if he can pull that off here over the next lap or so. Otherwise, he may have to dispatch of Klimovich and try to get his own way up, because what obviously Jeff Jacobs wants to do is catch up to the pro category drivers up there and make a move on them. Look at the time differences there as he was eating chunks out of that Klimovich time. But you notice it's more of Klimovich's time dropping off. His fastest lap in that sequence, that 53.0 for Klimovich, and then every lap after that quite a bit slower. And I think that really allowed Jacobs to take all those chunks out.
Yeah, maybe pushing the car a little hard to keep up with the two drivers ahead of him. Yeah.
Well, that car looks a little dicey right now. If you look at that number 21 green machine, he's kind of all over the place coming off the corner, having trouble getting the power down. The car is a little bit dancy under braking, so he's got to really be careful that he's not driving the tires off of it.
And there you go, he drops. And that's one of those corners also, Larry, where and I know coming out of turn 4 over at Lakes Descent is one of those places where you can get an off-track penalty. Certainly over where we just saw him as well as another place.
We got to fight for the lead as Sharp makes a pop move outside of Eric Violette. See if he can push Violette to a compromised turn-in point and maybe get him at the end of the next straightaway. And I know Porter's watching this thinking he could pounce on this as he comes down the hill. Violet, though, so precise, didn't get knocked off of his line yet. Let's see now as they go down this next straightaway down to turn 4.
And he's going to protect to the inside. He knows that the battle is on now as we are just a little bit past, we've only got now about 15, a little bit less than 15 minutes. We're just a little bit past halfway. And yeah, you can see there's the battle. And now Matt Porter jumping into the fight as well. This is his opportunity.
Yep, and now they have to go side by side up around the next couple of corners here. It's 6, 7 up into 8. And the inside's a huge advantage here.
And you can see there as Violet keeps to the inside, but look at all the ground that that Violet made up just in that complex, though. Although we see Sharp now closing it right down again under braking.
Yeah, that's a real late break there for Sharp to be able to close that back up. And Porter wisely tucks back in, doesn't keep the fight, knows if he wants to win this race. At certain moments you can choose your spots, but at some point you got to concede. Still got 14 minutes left. No need to jump the gun.
Yeah, and it's so interesting there to watch as Violet kept that car pretty much pinned the driver's left all the way to the inside going through turn 9 as they came out through 10. And now as they start to make that long run up the hill once again. And we'll see here if, let's take a look and see if Porter, and I think he's a little too far back to do it, Larry, if Porter could get up to the back of Sharp and push him up to Violet, but it looks like at least
not this time.
Here on this run, certainly not.
Yeah, not quite this time. They both kind of tested the waters a little bit in 2 different spots. This time around, though, it's play nice, play in behind. Let's see if he can get an opportunity. Eric does not make many mistakes. It's going to be tough to just capitalize on one. You almost have to force him into one. As Dragotta now has given up a spot to Brandon Whitworth. Remember, Dragotta was ahead of him when this was when they were still just barely there with Klimovich, but now Dragotta's got to work his way back up. I don't know that he's not quite at the speed in these TC cars as he was. You see him in a GT3 or something. He's so fast. He's still coming to grips with these lighter powered and lighter horsepower cars.
And Larry still 7 cars long, going down through the Senna S's here in Street Tuner. And it appears as though all 7 of them have gotten around the Carey machine. There is Paul Carey's, probably Rodney Carey's machine following them along. Actually, that is Paul Carey.
Yeah, Rodney Carey is still about 6 seconds up the road in front of this train. Yep. Nobody has stepped out of line yet in this train, so they're all just sort of playing nice. But I got to comment on the chat with what's going on here for the Klimovich clan, the Klim Club that's happening. Apparently, Mr. Klimovich is like the Chuck Norris of iRacing, as apparently he's apparently saved someone's life, and another viewer claims that they quit their job just to watch Klimovich. So he's got quite the following going on.
Apparently so. All right, Larry, we got some big changes here as Jeff
Oh, no.
Jacobs has gotten around David Klimovich now, and so Jacobs has moved up to 6th in club sport. But another big development here is Mariano Barrios is part of the conversation as well.
Yep. I told you he was going to be quick. He had that early deficit there as he'd started behind everybody, but he's up there now, right in the back of Jacobs. Almost seemingly came out of nowhere to catch up to Jacobs and to Klimovich. So let's give him another lap or two to get settled and see how that shakes up. Meanwhile, Andrew Sharp still looking at the back of Eric Violette's number 89 D2D. He just can't seem to find a way around, or he's just sort of biding his time as we come up on the 20th minute of this 30-minute race.
And Larry should mention Barrios was 4 seconds faster that time by than Jacobs to Klimovich. Jacobs and Klimovich currently, they must have spent a lot of time side by side because they were the slowest of the Toyotas on track by a wide margin. And there you go. Now Barrios gets around Klimovich as well. And we had talked earlier about there being 4 or so pro drivers between Klimovich and Tom Jenkins. There are now none, but Klimovich does still have about a 12-second margin back to Tom Jenkins from Midfield Motorsports.
Yeah, it's always good to maintain that margin, but if you can pick off a couple of those pro category drivers, you can get a few more points in the ultimate season standings, but I'm sure he'll take where he is and be happy. Meanwhile, at the front, it's still a great battle. Nothing's changed. Violet, Sharp, and Porter, 1, 2, 3. But I got to imagine Sharp and Porter are starting to get a little bit antsy and want to maybe force the issue here as we're now less than 10 minutes to go.
Now remember, this is the first of 2 races here tonight. We will have one more 30-minute race this evening, and we are going to be inverting the top 5 finishers. So right now in the Toyotas, we have Violet, Sharp, Porter, Whitworth, and Dragotta, with Jeff Jacobs sitting on the bubble, but quite a bit further back from that lead pack. And in the Mazdas, it's Dam, Schwenke, Hartley, Thorman, and Payton, with Victor Harris, our AM category leader. He's the one on the bubble right now, sitting back in 6th position. Now, wouldn't that be a coup, Larry, if he were able to get around the driver ahead of him, David Payton, and put himself on the pole?
Well, it might have gotten a hair easier, because it looks like Brennan Horn has dropped back a little bit. The other D2D driver, you can see him in the background there, that number 45, he's lost pace a little bit with what's going on in front of him. Maybe that is an opportunity, for Harris to try a move up in front of him, because, what's the risk? You don't have to worry about anything.
Yeah, he doesn't
right
have to worry
you.
from behind. Yeah.
But look at this. I can see it. Andrew Sharp is starting to get a little antsy. He's just hovering the shadows of Eric Violette, looking for an opportunity here. Always tough, though, when you're the middle car of a threesome to make a move, because one move by you is going to result in a counter move by the 3rd place car.
Exactly.
Well, we can see if as they come around to the straight next time, because we've probably only got about 4 or 5 laps to go, you got to start testing the waters on how far you can make it on a draft pass. Can you get to the stripe coming off the last corner in 2nd place? Can you get to the lead from it? At some point, you got to know, because then you'll need to know if you need to pass before the final turn, final turn there on turn 12, or can you wait until after?
Well, remember, we saw a couple laps ago where Porter and Sharp came down the front straight side by side behind Violet, and it appeared that the stripe was not far. Wasn't far enough up the road. You can see it's not a huge amount out of the final corner there. That there's quite a bit of that front straight past the start and finish line. So it's something that you're going to have in your mind probably as you're coming out of turn 10.
I honestly, this is in a way similar to what we saw 2 weeks ago at Zandvoort, where you could be in 2nd at a certain point on the track, but you've got to get the miracle run off that last real kink. We saw Mike Dam do it to Rob Hartley 2 weeks ago. We might be seeing the same thing coming our way here tonight. I'm sure Hartley would love to get revenge on that teammate for that move 2 weeks ago. Schwenke may have something to say about how it happens, but we may be looking at the same thing in the club sports. You might be looking at Sharp setting up Violet for a last-second pass.
Yeah, it's possible, although it appears though, Larry, and I think this is kind of borne out by what we've
Oh,
seen
here we
in
go.
this entire race. Oh, and look at that, as Matt Porter gets around to Andrew Sharp to move up in the second. But I was gonna say, I think we're seeing that the draft is definitely stronger on the Mazdas. Let's take a look and see how this pass happened.
Yep, so it looks like he gets coming out of turn 4, good little run, and he gets a position on the inside going into this whole section here of 6, 7, and 8. And as long as he can hold that, now he's got the line to get to the inside of 8, which is the second tightest corner, leading into the tightest there at turn 9, and that's where he's at. And you had said earlier, Matt Porter was actually the quickest in the practice earlier this week. Maybe this is where is his moment, having be able to show that speed and make the pass to win the race. He's got about 6 minutes to go.
And and we saw there in that sequence where Andrew Sharp, not only did he open the door up, but as Porter was coming in, Sharp took the car all the way out driver's left and probably ended up having to carry another 50 feet.
Here's your test
compared to Porter. Yeah, here we go. And there
Didn't
you go.
get there.
Violet was able to lead at the line, although Matt Porter, at least for a moment, going down into turn 1, had the lead. Violet able to come underneath them and retakes the point now as they head through the Senna S's. And so that's test number 1, where Porter was not able to get up to the nose of Eric Violet.
That's an important data point to have. All 3 of them now know that that looked like a pretty decent run for Porter as well, and just about, we'll call it about 2 feet short of being able to lead at the stripe. Now, if he tries it again, it may be an opportunity for Sharp to get the advantage. Now look at this. He's going to try the different move now for Porter. He's going to try to go to the outside at turn 6. He got the move on Sharp by going the other way. This now gives the advantage on that inside line to Violet. Can he use it and hold? It looks like he might. It's tough to make that pass on the outside. Good positioning.
Could Sharp come underneath? And you can see there, Sharp going to try to come underneath Matt Porter, coming into the corner, and they are now side by side making their way through 7 and into 8. And the question is whether or not Violet is able to open up a bit of an advantage there because of it.
Not yet. That's the thing about this track, is every left is followed by a right, which means every corner you can be on the outside of one and the inside of the other. And look at this for Porter. He's going to get shuffled back to 3rd. Sharp now to 2nd as they make the move onto the straightaway, and it is getting intense here with probably, maybe we'll be lucky to get a 3rd lap in here. Look at the look on Andrew Sharp's face. That's intensity. Look at he's smiling. He's loving this.
As we now have less than 4 minutes remaining, Larry, so probably this lap and maybe 2 more.
And I'm wondering where they get to the stripe. It's going to be so close because they're running in the 152s. Yeah. They might get that 2nd extra lap. So they might have 3 more starting now. But let's take a look back at our street tuners. Look at these Miatas. And look at Dam was able to open up a little bit. And I'm wondering now if Rob Hartley started to push Schwenke around a little, leading to some of this. Well, let's see if Schwenke and Hartley work together a little bit to get back up there with Dam with that same 2.5 to 3 laps to go.
Yeah, and Larry, so our Mazda's now coming up towards the back of some more Toyotas. Should note that Tom Jenkins, he's taken 8 seconds out of the advantage that Klimovich had. I don't know if with 2 laps remaining, if it's going to be enough for him. And it looks like Klimovich's and Jenkins' paces have kind of equalized there. So yeah, you can see a big distance.
Yeah, I think some of that there may have been some traffic or something that these guys had to deal with for Klimovich on 1 lap, but that definitely has stabilized. The lead still in the hands of Klimovich over Jenkins and the 2 carries there in Club Sport Am. But that Street Tuner battle and Street Tuner Pro, that's still shaping up. Top 6 still at it, and look at the 3 in Club Sport Pro. They're still at it.
Oh, and here we go, Larry. I think as Schwenke now taking a look to the inside on Mike Dam.
We're down to 5 in this battle as Harris has now dropped out. So it's 3 Orions and then 2 D2Ds. Those being, of course, that looks like Peyton and Thorman. Wrapping up the 4th and 5th spot. So any one of these 5 could win this thing. It depends on how dicey this gets here in this last 2 laps. No, I like Hartley in this sense. I think Mike Dam's been left to just sit out in front and get comfortable. I think Hartley's going to make a move here on Schwenke.
Well, and Larry, they're coming up on some more Toyota traffic. They're coming up on Bobby Childs and Tom Jenkins directly ahead, and that might complicate things a little bit for our lead pack there and bring another variable in that they have to deal with.
It could actually offer a draft for Mike Dam if he can get close enough to them. That could help him a little bit fend off some fighters. But look at this. I'm telling you, Hartley is right on the tail of Schwenke. Is this the lap where he goes for second place? Keep an eye on that yellow trimmed Orion car in third place in that train. You can barely even see him.
And Larry, we can see now.
There it is, white flag.
White flag, last lap for both our Toyotas, for our Club Sport racers, as well as for our Mazdas, our street tuner races. And here is the battle for the overall lead.
This is a key. That was the spot where we saw some passes already happen. We saw Porter get underneath Sharp right there. We saw Violet be able to hold on to a potential pass to Porter and Sharp. He was able to dodge that bullet now. Now as they come through turns 8, 9, and 10, nothing's really going to happen here until we come off of the last corner. So we talked about it. We're not sure you can make it by the stripe, but right now, Sharp doesn't have any choice but to try it. And look at Porter to the inside trying to push. Nothing there.
I was going to say, so Sharp had been opening up the last three corners in order to carry more exit speed than Violet, and Porter almost shoved the car right down the inside, got chopped on the last attempt.
I've not seen anyone this close as we see right now for Sharp. 2.5 tenths behind Violet. This is definitely going to be side by side. Violet's got to figure out, can he do anything at this point, or is he total sitting duck? Is he just going to hug that tightest inside line? No run yet for Sharp.
We don't see Sharp making up a lot of ground, and Sharp, I think, had a little bit more trouble on the exit of 15, but now he moves over, and taking the win in Club Sport Pro is Eric Violet, with Andrew Sharp finishing second, Matt Porter finishing in third. Let's jump back over to the lead in Street Tuner as they are now starting to make their way, Larry, up the hill.
Yep, I don't see anybody yet.
Then Schwenke, then Hartley. Nobody's poked out yet as they come down into the final corner into turn 15 and onto the front straight. And now popping out is Robert Hartley, and he's not going to get up to Travis Schwenke, so taking the win in Street Tuner Pro, Mike Dam. Travis Schwenke finishing second, Robert Hartley finishing in third. And so, Larry, you know, when we take a look at the way things are going to play out for our second race of the evening in the Street Tuners, in the Club Sport class in our Toyotas, that's going to put Leo Dragota on the pole, with Brandon Whitworth starting next to him. Then Matt Porter and Andrew Sharp and Eric Violet's going to start in 5th position. And then in Street Tuner, it is going to be the two D2D sim racers, David Payton on pole, then Thorman. Then we're going to have Hartley, Schwenke, and Mike Dam starting in 5th. All right, let's do this, gentlemen. Let's take a quick break, and we will thank some of our partners and sponsors. And when we come back, we will have our second and final race of the evening from Interlagos, where you are watching the Extreme Motorsports Ricmotech Touring Car Cup, presented by the SDK Foundation and Proforma Elite here on Apex Racing TV. We'll be right back.
Ricmotech, high-performance sim racing equipment. Whether you're just looking to have fun, train for race day, or become a serious esports competitor, Ricmotech has you covered. Hundreds of name-brand parts. Support from experts that love sim racing. Trusted by the pros. There's only one place to go, Ricmotech.com.
The SCCA Foundation is a 501c3 organization serving as the charitable arm of the Sports Car Club of America. One of the programs partially funded by the foundation is the SCCA Academy, an online learning management system used to keep real-life racing track officials up to date on the highest standards of race safety and officiating. Through this program, the SCCA Foundation is supporting the future of the best-trained corner workers and event officials in motorsport. You can support these efforts at www.sccafoundation.org. search is over. The most comprehensive league scoring solution is here, with the ability for multi-level championships, custom incident tracking, post-race time penalties, support for heats, drop weeks display, multi-car team scoring, advanced web widgets, rookie championships, a custom paint system, and load those results in seconds. Visit extremescoring.info today.
Ricmotech, high-performance sim racing equipment. There's only one place to go, ricmotech.com.
And welcome back to the Autodromo Jose Carlos Pache Interlagos for round number 3 of the Extreme Motorsports Ricmotech Touring Car Cup, presented by the SDK Foundation and Proforma Elite. I'm Greg Ginsburg, along with Larry Lefty McLeod. And Larry, let's take a look at those results from a very exciting race number 1. We will start off with the Toyotas, with the Club Sport Pros, where Eric Violette took the win over Andrew Sharp. But look at that margin there in the top 3, pretty close. Not as close as the Mazdas though. Matt Porter finishing in 3rd. Brandon Whitworth, Leo Dragota, Mariano Barrios, and Jeff Jacobs taking the win in the AM category in Club Sport AM. His 2nd win in a row. David Klimovich with Tom Jenkins finishing 2nd. And I should add that Larry, each one of these 2 races tonight is for half points, and so it is just one full round 3 will add up the points from each of the 2 races. In Street Tuner Pro, Mike Dam taking the win over Travis Schwenke. Robert Hartley finishing 3rd, so a 1-2-3 for Orion. Then with a 4, 5, and 6 for D2D, Chris Thorman, David Payton, and Brennan Horn. Taking the win in Street Tuner AM, Victor Harris from Rochelle's Racing. And then I believe a little bit further down, finishing 2nd in AM, would have been Steve Daniel. All right, and so we will again have our top 5 drivers in the Toyotas. Larry going to invert the field there, and then we will have our top 5 drivers in the Mazdas invert there as well. And we have our drivers gridding up for that, starting in about 20 seconds or so. We give them about 5 minutes in order to get some extra laps in if they need, take a little break, etc.
Yep. Well, I can tell you what, the power teams showed up to play powerful tonight. On the original grid, you had a D2D driver leading the way in the Club Sports. That's Eric Violette. On the Street Tuners, you had an Orion driver leading the way. That was Mike Dam. They ended up both winning their respective classes. And here we are on the inverted start. You're going to have Leo Dragota in the Club Sports, an Orion driver. And then over on the in the Mazdas, you're going to have, what was it? We were saying, as my thing keeps changing on me, David Payton is going to lead the way for the Mazdas. He's a D2D driver. So you're seeing a lot of D2D against Orion. Both classes now seeing respective good performances out of them. Let's see how this inverse goes. We saw almost no changes at all in the Mazdas in their race. It pretty much finished as it started, despite all the good drafting. But with an inverted start, that could shake it up. In the Toyotas, not only does it put Eric Violette, Angel Sharp, Matt Porter as 5th, 4th, and 3rd, Mariano Barrios finished 6th. He's going to be right with those guys. This could be a very interesting second race in both fields.
That's right. As Barrios finished just ahead of Jeff Jacobs, we saw that fight early on, and Barrios having come from the back of the pack. And so it also puts Klimovich, David Klimovich, fan favorite, with Tom Jenkins. I think even on the same row or right next to each other. They're going to start 8th and 9th. Yeah. So there'll be one on row 4, one on row 5, real close together. Gives Jenkins a fair shot to stay with Klimovich, and maybe he learned a little something in the first race. So a couple of classes, the contention is right there for it. All right, so let me see if we can get this figured out here, Larry. It is going to be, and we're doing. Do you want me to take one of them? Yeah, well, we're doing the switch right now. Yeah, let's. I can give you the starting order at least. We can figure this out. In the Toyotas, on the pole, Leo Dragota. Alongside's going to be, should be Brandon Whitworth. Then you should have Andrew Sharp, Matt Porter, Eric Violette, and. Well, that's 5th, and we've got 6th is Mariano Barrios, and then Jeff Jacobs, then Klimovich and Jacobs 8th and 9th.
Yep.
Then Bobby Childs, I believe.
And Tom
Paul Carey.
Jenkins.
Oh, yep, Tom Jenkins.
And then I got Rodney Carey and Paul Carey,
Right.
then Russ Ruddick, Tom Rafke, and I don't think we've got a Richard Ellinger in the session either.
Nor Kevin Ford. So
Yep.
let's move over to the Mazdas, where it will be Peyton and Thorman on your front row.
Couple
Robert
D2Ds.
Hartley, and both from D2D. Then we've got Hartley and Schwenke from Orion on row number 2. Mike Dam will share row number 3.
Brennan Horan
with
from D2D.
Yeah, exactly, with Brennan Horn from D2D. And then we've got Jeff Cranston and Steve
Victor Harris.
And Victor Harris, exactly. And then the question is whether or not we see Greg Mack. He hasn't joined the grid yet.
And Steve Daniel would be on that row with Greg. I think Greg had a quick disconnection from the session. We'll see if he gets back in. If not, Steve Daniel will be in the last row there by himself. As it looks like things may have gotten sorted out. I see them rolling now. We've got Leo Dragotta on that front row with Brandon Whitworth. So we'll get them queued up and get going again. I see the Mazdas in the background pulling away from their grid. So we're moments away.
All right, and the pace car now is, I think, has made it all the way to Argentina. So, so again, we do have a live starter, much as we have live stewards here watching these races, and you've seen where they will take action if necessary when there are some race incidents on track. But as it stands right now, our race control is giving instruction to the Mazdas, who will be starting second and making sure that they have enough of a gap back to the Toyotas. And it worked very well in that first race, Larry, where with the exception of only 2 or 3 cars, the 2 classes just did not intermix at all.
Yeah, so keep an eye on Matt Porter, Leo Dragotta, teammates down the inside. Let's see if Porter can get a good jump and maybe push Leo up down into that turn 1 and keep Whitworth behind him. Whitworth doesn't have a playing mate to help him out. Eric Violette's a couple rows back, so watch for the Orion cars on the inside on this start.
All right, so Tanner Alcock in the chat, Larry, a little confused. He says he's confused. It was the top 5 Mazdas, top 5 Toyotas. We were not inverting the Pro and the Am in each. Green flag is in the air for the Toyotas as Leo Dragotta goes center track down into turn number 1, trying to drag his teammate along. But it appears as though Matt Porter is going to drop now back into 5th position, back behind Mariano Barrios and Andrew Sharp, as our leaders start to come down through and out of the Senna S's and make that long run down to turn number 4. Let's jump back over and look at this as Dragotta is still trying to get some heat in the tires. As we jump back over to the Mazdas, where David Payton and Chris Thorman on the front row. Payton to the inside in the green and gray, with Thorman in the red and gray. Now slotting in right behind, and now side by side going through the S's, it is Robert Hartley who gets around Travis Schwenke. Mike Dam sitting back in 5th position, now with Jeff Cranston and Steve Daniel behind Daniel, your leader. And we do see 2 drivers starting from the pit lane.
That's Brennan Horan, as well as the 52 of Victor Harris, your AM first race winner, started in the pits.
Yeah, and Larry, the way they timed it, Horn didn't lose all that much ground.
No.
He's right behind Steve Daniel as it is. Victor Harris would have done well to just stick right to the bumper of Brendan Horn as they were coming off the pit lane.
Yeah, he came out darting for that draft line. Brendan did anything he can as he's going to take the wide line up into turn 8. He's doing anything to catch the back of Steve Daniel. I think he's going to get there. Let's just see if Victor Harris can do the same. No, that's a big incident.
Oh, and that's Matt Porter.
Yeah.
Who got clouded, and it looks
Rodney
like one
Carey.
of the Carey's cars.
Yeah,
as
Rodney,
well.
I think in the 33 might have been the one that got there. Russ Ruddick was right there as well. And that is going to take one of our podium finishers, the first race, out of this before the end of lap 1. Oh, let's see how this happened. That's him on the inside, coming around down toward turn 12, the last corner before the straightaway, and it comes off that corner. He just loses it.
Yeah, he just lost it, and everybody avoided him until Russ Ruddick got him, and then the Carey car with nowhere to go added insult to very painful injury.
I feel bad for Russ. He had nothing to, he had nowhere to go, but unfortunately for Sharp, for Porter, that's gonna end his second race prematurely, as we got a good shot of the the Klim Club working hard here. Klimovich.
Yeah, right behind race 1 winner Eric Violette.
Yeah,
And we'll see
gap,
here.
though.
Yeah, we'll see if Klimovich can keep those tires underneath him here and keep up the pace of the number 89 machine.
Look at that gap in front. Now, this may have been because of that spin that happened to Porter, has now separated the race 1 winner and Klimovich, the 2 race 1 winners from Am and Pro, away from the rest of their field as Dragotta, Sharp, Barrios, and Whitworth have kind of pulled about 3 seconds up in front. The Miatas, on the other hand, it's still a couple of D2Ds followed by the trio in the same order they started in those Orion cars. All 5, no changes yet in the Street Tuner Pro category. Changes whatsoever. I'm curious to see if Brennan Horn decides to push up here to catch up to that front group if he thinks he can make a move, but he's definitely on the back of the draft there with Steve Daniel. You can see the last D2D driver there. But...
Yeah, and it looks like Victor Harris starting to fall off the pace of that first pack and not able to keep up with Brennan Horn there, and it looks like he may be at the moment the only driver in Street Tuner that does not have the benefit of the draft at this point, other than our Street Tuner leader, of course, David Payton, who we are watching his teammate directly behind Chris Thorman. We'll see here if Thorman decides to move to the inside. It would be awfully early in a 30-minute race to start fighting here.
And he knows the consequences are 3 Orion cars on his heels.
Yeah.
Instead, he looks like, if anything, he's sort of popping out to get a good look at that turn 1. And it's much easier to brake when you're looking down that inside at this track. You don't want to be stuck too far on the outside. You can't really see around that first turn as it plummets downhill. This is a good little battle as Dragotta now under pressure from Andrew Sharp. Sharp's got that inside line as they go to turn 6, and he's going to get the position on Dragotta in the Orion entry. So there's the pass for the lead. But Leo's not done.
He tries to come down the inside.
I don't think it's it. Not enough momentum there for him.
No.
So it's a good pass. Barrios in 3rd, Whitworth in 4th are right behind this battle. Good view for Barrios of what's going on in front of him.
And looks like young Leo is getting quite offensive here on lap number 3. And again, this race, if it's anything like race 1, should go somewhere 16 or 17 laps. So kind of early here, and what he is definitely doing is he's keeping Barrios, who was, I think, Larry, I think we can agree, was probably the fastest driver on track in race number 1. He is certainly keeping him there in contention.
Well, he's one of the quickest right now, as the quickest lap of the race belongs to Brandon Whitworth, about 100th faster than what Barrios did. But look at this, is now he's going to push young Leo just a little bit to see if he can now make it a 3 wide and a 1. Oh, this cannot have a good outcome.
Come on, Larry. You said you could drive side by side all the way around this track. Oh, that's right. You said 2 by 2. You didn't say 3.
Well, luckily for us, Barrios backed out just enough to let Leo pull ahead, and they did go through turn 1. Whitworth, though, is going to keep the side-by-side momentum going as he comes down the hill, gets alongside Barrios. So 3rd and 4th, and you got to love it behind them there. That's Eric Violette, race 1 winner.
I was just going to say, Violette must be going, thank you. I thought I was out of this. And
come on, Brandon, keep chucking her in the inside there. Let's slow this pack down. Help me out. Help her brother out. He's trying. Leo Dragotta, though, good defense. He given up that position, was able to get it back. Maybe a little help from Barrios on that straightaway, but this time not making the same mistake, not giving that line to Sharp to give him the advantage going into turn 8 this time for Leo. He's going to lead the pack down here through the hairpin. Oh, look at the tail end sliding in the Orion car. Whew. He caught it.
All right, let's jump back over.
Oh, we got action.
As we've we have a new leader.
It's a gaggle.
David Payton now falling back into 3rd, and he's under attack from Robert Hartley. Or pardon me, he's under attack from Travis Schwenke.
Yeah.
There is a possibility he might fall from the lead all the way back into 4th position just in the span of 1 lap.
I can tell you, he's giving it everything he's got up there at the front. As Hartley would love to get around Thorman right now and to put a couple of DTD drivers, himself and his teammates, back there. That's really the best thing for Hartley if he can make it happen. But you watch, Schwenke is not going to let that last long. if he has to, he'll push Peyton back up there, just like we saw Hartley pushing Schwenke in race 1. Oh, look at Dragotta has been shuffled back to third now, as both Barrios and Sharp have gotten around him. Whitworth still hanging on in 4th, and Eric Violette, well, he's coming along. He's about 6/10 a lap slower, faster, I should say, than the group in front of him.
I was just gonna say about 6/10 faster.
Yeah, so it's about
than
2
the ones
seconds.
they've got.
He's getting there. Good view of Mariano's car going into turn 4. I think I can't see anything because it's covered by his hood.
And actually, Larry, on that last lap, he was about 1.4 seconds faster than than the 4 drivers ahead of him. So we'll see here.
You were right. I was looking at Jeff Jacobs, who was 6/10 slower than Eric Violette, but that's behind him.
Yes.
Violette was a chunk faster than the foursome in front. Yeah, you can visibly see how much he's closed the gap, and you get that camera shot. Look at him right there at the back of it. He's coming. Look at this.
Larry.
Oh, there's contact. That looked like that's Brennan Horan on the outside.
It's off. And
that
Mike
down to turn
Dam,
5?
and I think Dam might have been affected as well. I'm showing him now. Larry is at a standstill, and he might be taking the tow.
Yeah, that looked like down in turn 5. So we'll get a view of that here in a second. Is it still the 64 of? Is that Peyton now?
It's Thorman, then Peyton, then Hartley.
All right, so Hartley got around him for a moment up in the front, but Horan and Steve Daniel just get tangled. Maybe a little bit of neck coating going on there as Horan gets the worst of it. He's out into the wall, but that does create a gap now, it looked like, to Mike Dam on the back of all this group. So there's some chaos that went on there, and it looks like they are going to take a look at that's Russ Ruddock and the 68 of
yeah, and Larry, I haven't seen Mike Dam move. I think Mike Dam might be out of this. Let's take a look and see what happens.
That's Tom Jenkins and Russ Ruddock that came together, and that's a big hit for Russ Ruddock. Remember, Ruddock was involved with the incident with Matt Porter on the opening lap, so Ruddock just having all kinds of trouble tonight. And there goes Jenkins to a couple of corners later. Probably had some damage from the incident there with Ruddock, and his car is a bit spinny at this point. He's in the pits. This might have been the one that led to the issue, as Ruddock is down the inside. These cars both limping away. Rough night for both of them. Ruddock going to stay out there, looks like.
Yep. Well, and it looks like Jenkins is as well.
This is more replay, and I'm wondering if this is what leads to the other. This is all replay, folks. This is...
Oh, no.
As the pack of gaggle of Miatos comes from behind, and this is what was going on in front of them down through the Senna S's. Yeah, and I think at the bottom of the hill here at 4 is when they probably get tangled.
And is this what we saw earlier?
It is. That's the one.
No, yep.
And then here come the Miatos between. Oh, just chaos everywhere. Speaking of Miatos, it's the 64 of Peyton.
Right, Larry, I'm trying to find out what happened to Mike Dam, because he is now showing almost a lap down, and he was showing as being behind that incident with Warren and Daniels, and I'm just
we'll let Jonathan dig that one up, I'm sure. But right now, Thorman, after all this, has got himself about a 2-second lead. There you can see him at the front of the shot. Behind him is the battle of Peyton Schwenke Crampton. All right, let's take a look at this replay.
Let's see what happens with Mike Dam here in this shot. So just ahead, he might have just had some connectivity issues, Larry, because he just disappeared.
Yeah, I'm wondering if perhaps a little bit of
snowstorm.
I was waiting for the reference of some point. Yes, perhaps a little bit of the Great White North coming back.
Going back to brush up on his karaoke.
All right, let's flash. He was doing anything he could to avoid karaoke with us for a second week in a row.
Exactly.
All right, so let's flash ahead now to the Club Sport Pro battle. And Barrios now with a 1-second lead. Dragotta now under fire still from Sharp as Dragotta managed to get around both of them. As Barrios gets around both of them. Dragotta now pressure from Sharp, Whitworth, and guess who?
Yeah,
Eric
there's Eric
Violet
Violet.
has joined the train. That's an impressive drive, if you ask me, to come back from as far down as he was on time to now just about 3 seconds off the lead. This is impressive.
And in the chat, the blue and white car is holding us up. Wonder who he means. All right.
All right, so there you go. There's the blue and white car that the Klim Club
right.
is talking about. That's Jeff Jacobs, the widest car on the sim. He's out there in the SDK Foundation entry. And of course, right behind him, David Klimovich, a Ram leader. Would love to get by him and get a couple extra points. Oh, look at this pack. Such good racing here. As Violet's gotten around Whitworth, and now he's alongside the 24 of Andrew Sharp. And then he thinks he's got a draft advantage, and I bet he does down the inside to try and stay with Dragotta. Look at the moves from Violet, so smooth.
That's right, and he's got Whitworth to keep.
He's got to push
to keep Sharp off the line. Yeah.
Yeah, he's getting a push. You can see it right there. Those two cars are locked. All right,
So that
Violet,
that moves Andrew Sharp now back in the 5th position. And
as Dragotta picks up the 1X.
Surprise.
This place is famous for the 1X there at the exit between turns 4 and 5 on that outside.
Yeah.
You put even close to that second pair of tires near that white line, it's going to pick one up. You go that wide, and you're definitely getting yourself a 1X, but no slowdown, just a 1X. All right, so battle for second in pro. Peyton Schwanke and Cranston.
And
is
Cranston,
in the mix here. We hadn't talked about him all night.
Cranston was our AM category champion last season, and he's been quite competitive in pro here through our first 2 rounds. But all the while, we are starting to see Chris Thorman starting to extend that advantage, Larry, as Thorman is now up by almost 3 seconds on this trio.
Yeah, so all this fighting that's going on behind has definitely led to a little bit of a gap forming out there. Now Hartley, who had probably been involved in some of the other issues, he's got himself back in 5th right now, 10 seconds behind this. I don't know if in 15 minutes, if even, Hartley and all of his speed could possibly catch this pack, but we'll keep our eye on him. 10 seconds right now from Cranston in 4th to Hartley in 5th.
Should note that Brennan Horn, after his incident, he has rejoined, but he is a lap down currently. And Bobby Childs now heading to the pit lane.
Oh.
Larry, I mean, it looks like he's under his own power.
Well, we'll keep our eye on a potential replay on that. We'll see. The car looks okay.
Yeah.
Maybe didn't put enough fuel in at the start. Maybe having some other issues. I don't know. We'll hope for the best there for Bobby as he's sitting in the pits for a few minutes. All right, so here's that train. Barrios, then Dragotta, Violet, Whitworth, and Sharp, and they've actually closed up. I thought Barrios was actually pulling ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say it looks like, and that may just be maybe a byproduct, Larry, of Violet pushing the issue with Dragotta. That Dragotta now is starting to pull that pack closer to Barrios.
I think it's a couple things. I think it settles the middle of the pack down because I think, honestly, Andrew Sharp is really being aggressive in this pack. And he was so desperate to try and get around Dragotta that he almost was slowing them both down.
Yeah.
I think Eric Violet, not to say anything for Andrew Sharp, he's a great driver. Violet is always the most patient one out there. He will wait, he'll bide his time, knows the race is long, and he's just going to sit behind him. Now that he's in that position, he can win the race eventually, but he doesn't have to win it at minute number 17. He can get his moves in much slowly. That now brought all 5 of these cars right together again. Sharp, though, may have to worry about Whitworth because Whitworth is no slouch. He's got a lot of good warm-up here tonight to be in this position. But Whitworth just maybe could help his teammate Violet up there in 3rd.
I was just going to say Whitworth, I think, is going to be a very good wingman at this point, and he can play interference a little bit for Violet. And so Violet, certainly at the moment, doesn't have to necessarily worry about what's behind him.
And maybe this is why Bobby dropped out of the race, because Bobby wants to watch his teammates here from D2D do their thing. So he says, better place to spectate would be from pit lane. And Schwenke was able to get past these two. That's Peyton and that's Cranston. Yeah, and Schwenke was able to open up a little bit. So Cranston now trying to push Schwenke along a little bit. Or sorry, push Peyton along to catch up to Schwenke. It's going to be tough if they don't stay in Schwenke's draft.
Yeah, and look at how much Schwenke opened up just going down through the Senna S as he pulled maybe 2 additional car lengths.
Like I said earlier, the key to a good lap around here is in 2 places. One of them, of course, turn 12, the last tight corner before you lead that long uphill bending straightaway to start finish. The other is the entry to Senna S's. What you do in the middle of them really doesn't matter. It's getting into them. It's so difficult, these cars, to get the right late apex on that turn 1, almost backside shooting down the hill. If you do it right, it's worth a second over your rivals that may have gotten it wrong.
Yeah, and it's key there, Larry, because if you can break the draft essentially coming through the S's, you've got that run all the way down to turn 4, where at least with the Miatas, I mean, that's going to be a key area for them to close back up on.
Interesting watch on board here with Eric Violet. Does not want to push. He thinks he's got a better shot to get some side draft off of Leo Jagoda and maybe get all the way to 2nd place. Violet with the run now. He was in 6th about 4 laps ago. He may find himself in 2nd at the end of this next couple of corners.
Well, and Dragoda sticks to the inside, compromising his line going down, but he's going to push, by doing that, pushes Violet right to the apex. But here we go. Look at this as they are side by side coming out of the Senna S's. And Larry, just as we were talking about a moment ago with the Mazdas, this is a great advantage for Barrios, just when Barrios needed to open up an advantage here for this very long run down to turn 4. He does.
You get a clean run down there and your rival doesn't. It's almost a second difference. And you can see now already 9/10 gap as there's some contact all over the place here. You had Dragoda struggling. Looked like there may have been some contact back there with Sharp, possibly on Whitworth. I'm not sure. Everybody seems to be safe, but boy, that got hairy for a minute.
And and Violet ran wide as well, and it didn't appear as though there was any contact there with Dragoda. But Dragoda now drops back, and Sharp picks up the position. So move Andrew Sharp now up into 3rd. And looks like Whitworth trying to return the favor on Dragoda as well.
He's trying to get up in there. Violet's got to be loving this. Let the guys sort it out behind him, and now he can hone in on Barrios out in front, make this a mano-a-mano battle with 10 minutes to go. But Sharp is saying, hey guys, don't forget about me, I'm a-coming. Let's just see if Whitworth can play nice here and maybe push the other 2 in front of him, especially Dragoda, and maybe Dragoda can help push Sharp. Let's see if they can pull this pack back together for one more shot at it, or are these 3 going to fight it out for the last step?
As we've got 10 minutes remaining here in our second 30-minute race of the evening here, round number 3 of the Touring Car Cup. And see Violet, who is our race 1 winner in the club sport category, looking to repeat here and pick up winner's points for 2 races. And he's right there, Larry. He's pulled within about 2 car lengths, and you can see there under the draft, pulls right in under braking, going in the water.
Yeah, amazing run there. Considering just 5 laps ago he was back in 6th place. Now he's got himself up into the top 2 and just on the heels of Mariano Barrios, who's also having a great run tonight, having started the first race at the back. Quick note on Bobby Childs, drove the front tires off the car. He says he just couldn't find the setup for it tonight, and swung the pendulum one way and decided that it's just not turning. Time to park and take a spectator.
He usually spends so much time driving backwards anyhow, Larry. I don't know.
I'm just thinking he took out the Fernando Alonso folding chair, which I do believe happened at this track.
Yes, it certainly did.
Oh no, look at Schwenke going wide. That's going to be a course cut, I think. He almost got the guardrail there coming down the S's.
Yeah, and let's see if he's going to end up having to give up the time on the straight here as he's trying to hold off David Payton.
So maybe not a penalty there, but certainly just a 1X. But man, that was a whole lot of car control to hang on to it there.
Yes.
He's going to hold that inside around 4 into 5. Payton's going to slip in behind. He can go to the right. That's the advantage. Doesn't. He goes left before they get to 6.
And here we go as they come into 6. Schwenke moving down to the inside on him here. And holds off the number 64 machine for the moment as they cut back here at turn 8.
Look at the all sorts of crossed arm there for Schwenke coming around through 7, down into 8 there. He's holding that position. This is for the second spot in pro, is Chris Thorman's kind of pulling away up front. You can see him out there with the orange trim, gray D2D colors. All right, so 7 minutes.
They walk down the hill here through turn 1, Larry, and again, you know, Violet all over the back of the Spider-Man car.
And he is, but I think he's being, again, strategically patient. He knows that they've got a nice, undraftable gap to Sharp and Dragota behind him. There's no sense in making a pass here. Look at it. He's even pushing Barrios along down the straightaway into turn 4, knowing that that's a better opportunity. Better to finish 1-2, even if you're second, than to bring along the wrath of 3, 4, and 5. As you can see, Sharp, Dragota, and Whitworth behind, doing anything they can to catch up. But Violet seems to be controlling this thing right now, even though he's in second.
Stubby asked who did Bobby's setup. Backmarker Bob.
Well, I'm guessing that Bobby is not on the same setup as this guy, Eric Violet. I'm just guessing that Eric took his own setup, and Bobby next time will probably rectify that mistake and just do whatever Eric says for the team there on D2D, as they are all teammates at D2D Sim Racing.
Bobby should stick with what he's good at, paints.
He is good at paints. Cars
Yes.
always look good. And he's good as a good personality whenever we let him come in the studio with us.
That's right. I wonder if Bobby's good at with Canadian rock songs.
I guarantee you he is. I'm sure. I'm sure he could teach. He could definitely teach Mike Dam a few licks.
Oh, and I think
For
the
sure.
fight is on now, Larry.
All
As
right.
Eric Violet poked down to the inside of Barrios, coming through the final corner through 15 onto the straight. And as they come into turn 1, we have a new leader, and with only 5 minutes remaining.
That's a great opportunity there. He saw he had a good run, and Barrios gave him the inside, and it's a much easier break and turn in from the inside, knowing that no one's going to duck underneath you for that slow corner. And they did it without really losing a ton. Yeah, they did give up a couple of tenths, but for the most part, they're staying lockstep, nearly a second ahead of the group behind them. But they're coming. Here comes Sharp, Andrew Sharp, Leo Dragota, Brandon Whitworth, doing anything they can to catch the front two. And you can see the look of concentration on Vermilion Motorsports' Andrew Sharp's face. Love the hard cut you can make here at the apex of turn 8 there. That curbing is just sort of a guideline.
Yeah, and that corner, and most of the corners down here in this section, very well cambered.
Yeah.
Kind of helps you get the car rotated.
Yeah, you just chuck the car across a lot of stuff. So you can see the line Dragota just took there. You can do that there. You can also ride this one down here through 11. And then you can get all the way out on the apron going into 12. Look how wide they are.
All the way out into the grass there, exactly.
You have to get to the blue painted stuff before you pick up a 1X even down there. You're allowed such a wide line. It's kind of crazy.
And Violet starting to open up the smallest of margins and gaps here, Larry.
Yeah.
About a car length and a half. We'll see if Barrios can close it down under the draft here. You know, when he made the move on Barrios, he did it very quickly and I think limited the damage in bringing the 3 following cars up to him. We'll see if Barrios takes a different tact here. As we now have 4 minutes.
Yeah, for Violet, he was wise to do it when he could, and he knew he could make the pass clean, even if he gave up a couple of tenths to the trailing cars. And now that he feels like he can control the race the rest of the way. But look at Sharp. He has been the quickest car on the track the last 2 times around. He is now right on the heels of Mariano Barrios, even pulling away from Leo Dragota, the Orion driver, in 4th. Even with Brandon Whitworth pushing, Whitworth pushing, still can't do enough to keep Dragota on the heels of Sharp. Sharp is looking really good right now. And Barrios is going to make a move to the inside.
Well,
Here
here
it
they are,
comes.
side by side now as they make their way into 6 and 7.
That's the line you want, is on the inside for Barrios. I'm surprised Violet left that line open for him. They'll go side by side to 8. And it's a slide.
And Barrios gets very
contact.
loose. Oh! as Barrios got very loose there and really left Violet nowhere to go. And that now moves Andrew Sharp into the lead, and Leo Dragota, who had been falling back from Sharp on the previous lap, actually just a couple corners earlier, turn 3, now is up in the second with Eric Violet hanging on to third with his teammate back and forth. Let's take a look, Larry, and see exactly how it happened.
Real quick replay here. Let's see. It does look like, watch the inside car. That's Barrios. It's Barrios. He's going to get the car a little loose. He chucks it in, a little bit of trail brake. It's too much. And when the car snaps here, he's right in the path of Violet. Let's hope that doesn't damage Violet's front end. Otherwise, he'll have a tough time making a fight here for the end. As you can see, he's still in third. Didn't lose a lot of time. And I just saw a white flag in the air.
Yes, last lap here from Interlagos. There it is. And as we start that final lap, Andrew Sharp is now your leader. Now look at this, moving down to the inside, Eric Violet trying to get underneath Leo Dragota, cannot get it done as they head into the Senna S's.
Yeah, Violet's got the best run of all of them because he held back just a little bit at the first part of the S's. He's got the best run. He'll be on the inside going to 4. And look at Whitworth pushing Leo Dragota now to get up there and make it a 3 wide, but I don't think Leo's got enough.
And Larry, as they came out of the S's, Sharp moved all the way over driver's right to open up the exit of that corner, and it's going to hurt him as Sharp goes off into the dirt.
Though.
That's going to move Dragota now up in the second, and Whitworth is he'll push anybody that's in front of him at this point.
He is. He's like a tow truck out there just pushing them along. But look at Sharp. He's got the inside now on Dragota. We just saw chaos here the last time. Can we get through clean? Oh, so far, Dragota still has the inside, sort of almost overlap with Sharp, but nope, he loses it.
Yeah, and Dragota is going to push wide coming out of the corner there as they come back up the hill. Still, Whitworth can't do anything with it, though, as Violet now is going to lead. Lead Andrew Sharp. Coming down the hill, down into the compression over at 13, and they're going to start to make their way up the hill here. Just a couple more curves remaining, Larry, until the checkered flag.
One more corner. Whitworth looks like he might have the last lap with Dragota. Dragota got a little bit wide there on the exit. That's going to be for third place because Eric Violet, all he's got to do is keep the foot to the floor and a couple of upshift, and he'll have himself 2 wins tonight for D2D's Eric Violet.
And there you go, as they come to the line, taking win number 2 is Eric Violet from D2D Sim Racing. Finishing second is Andrew Sharp. Brandon Whitworth, he was able to break the draft there as they came through turn 15. Whitworth from D2D will finish in third with Dragota just off the podium. Taking the win, his second win tonight in AM, David Klimovich. He will finish 7th amongst the Toyotas with Paul Carey finishing second in AM. And now as we move over to the Mazdas, over to Street Tuner, it is coming across the line from D2D Sim Racing. Chris Thorman, Travis Schwenke will finish in second. David Payton will come home in third with Jeff Cranston fourth, Robert Hartley, and then Brennan Horan finishing a lap down. In Street Tuner AM, it is going to be Victor Harris with the win this evening. Congratulations, Victor. Finishing second will be Steve Daniel.
Chaos up and down that inverted second race paid off. That was so much fun. Right down to the wire in the club sport class. Eric Violet, the hero's drive to get that second win. But Chris Thorman, let's talk about Chris Thorman. Up there in the mix, was on the front row to start that second race and didn't give that up. Managed to keep his nose clean and pulled away to get that win. Awesome job for Chris Thorman. Can't wait to talk to him.
All right. Well, before we do, Larry, let's take a final break. Thanks some of our partners and sponsors, and then we will talk to some of our podium finishers here from Interlagos, where you've just seen round number 3 of the Extreme Motorsports Ricmotech Touring Car Cup, presented by the SDK Foundation and Proforma Elite. And we'll be right back.
Ricmotech, high-performance sim racing equipment. Whether you're just looking to have fun, train for race day, or become a serious esports competitor, Ricmotech has you covered. Hundreds of name brand parts. Support from experts that love sim racing. Trusted by the pros. There's only one place to go, Ricmotech.com.
The SCCA Foundation is a 501c3 organization serving as the charitable arm of the Sports Car Club of America. One of the programs partially funded by the foundation is the SCCA Academy, an online learning management system used to keep real-life racing track officials up to date on the highest standards of race safety and officiating. Through this program, the SCCA Foundation is supporting the future of the best-trained corner workers and event officials in motorsport. You can support these efforts at www.sccafoundation.org. The search is over. The most comprehensive league scoring solution is here, with the ability for multi-level championships, custom incident tracking, post-race time penalties, support for heats, drop weeks display, multi-car team scoring, advanced web widgets, rookie championships, a custom paint system, and load those results in seconds. Visit extremescoring.info today.
And welcome back, everybody, to the Autodromo Jose Carlos Pache to Interlagos, where you've just seen round number 3 of the Extreme Motorsports Ricmotech Touring Car Cup, presented by the SCCA Foundation and Proforma Elite. Let's take a look again at the final results from race number 2 this evening in Club Sport Pro. Taking his second win of the evening, Eric Violette with D2D. Vermilion Racing's Andrew Sharp finishing second. Brandon Whitworth from D2D just beating Leo Dragota to the line, who finishes in 4th. In Club Sport Am, David Klimovich with, I believe, his second win in a row here, second round win in a row. So he's got 3 in a row at the moment here. Paul Carey finishing second. In Street Tutor Pro, Chris Thorman taking the win for D2D Sim Racing over Travis Schwenke and David Payton, with Victor Harris, your Street Tuner Am winner, over Steve Daniel. All right, so Larry, we've got a couple of folks waiting for us here in the green room, and they're not wandering around the Apex Racing TV
Can't be wrong
complex
in the studios
at camp.
tonight.
It's the campus. Here they've stayed in the same green room for us. Let's do this. Let's bring in Chris Thorman, driver of the number 60 D2D Sim Racing Mazda Miata, your winner tonight in Street Tuner Pro.
All right, Chris Thorman has joined us. And Chris, that first race, I don't want to call it boring, but it was 30 minutes of just follow the leader, and everybody pretty much finished where they started. But the second race, you and your teammates started in the front row, and then chaos. But all of a sudden, it was like the dust cloud just disappeared, and there goes Chris off in the distance. Did it feel a little like that from your standpoint?
I really didn't know what happened. I thought they were right behind me, and I had a little problem in turn 3. When I caught it, I looked, and they weren't there, so I just put my head down and started going.
Yeah,
I don't know what happened behind me. I was going.
And you just went. It seemed like every time we looked, your lead got bigger and bigger, and I have to apologize. We just stopped putting the camera on you for the second half of the race because it wasn't that exciting watching you just destroy the rest of the field and walk away. But for you, it's got to feel good. It's got to feel, in this field with this talent, to win a race, no matter what the circumstances, it's got to feel extra good.
Oh, yes. It always feels good in this league when you can. I take the top 5, but winning is even better. In that first race, because of the way my season's been going, I told David, my teammates, I'm just going to sit back till the end. And then at the end, I said, well, wait a minute, we're front row. So, yeah, we just followed them around.
In the front row.
And then tried to do our racing in the second time. I had to go past David. I wanted to let him lead, but I think I was a little faster, and it was causing me problems trying not to hit him. So I went around him. And
Well, it's true. You were faster. I mean, you won the race. You must have been quite a bit faster, and it's a good teammate to, let you on by. And I'm sure he really wasn't letting you, but you made it work. You got that pass, and then chaos ensued. You didn't even have to worry about it. You just had to put your head down and turn laps, which you did all the way to seeing that checkered flag and getting that victory for D2D Sim Racing. Good night for D2D. I gotta say that. But I mean, this whole team now, you got to have great things to say about the team that comes with you.
Oh yes, we've been all working really hard, and it's nice to see us getting some payback now. Get some of them Orion guys out of our way and get up front. But it's all fun, clean, fast racing here. It's just fun.
Oh, it's such a good night, and it was a lot of fun to watch. A couple of great races, and you managed to get that victory in that second race. Congratulations to that. Anybody else you want to give a quick shout out to?
I always gotta thank Performa for paying the bills, and Kevin and the crew at Extreme for giving us a place to play.
Awesome. Well, congratulations, Chris.
I can't ever leave out David. I wouldn't be here without David Payton. David taught me how to do this stuff.
Of course. And always have that teammate by your side. He was a good one tonight, helping you get your victory. So congratulations, Chris. Winner here tonight in race 2.
Thank you.
All right, thanks so much to Chris Thorman. Oddly, Larry, he never thanks back Marker Bob for some reason. All right, let's do this. Let's bring in our double winner tonight, taking the wins both in race 1 and race 2 in his Club Sport Pro Toyota GR86 for D2D Sim Racing, Eric Violet.
All right, so second interview. It's a second D2D interview. Eric Violet, who got not one, but 2 race wins tonight. Eric, that second race just looked intense. Tell me about it.
Oh, it was crazy. First, I got to thank Andrew and Matt for running really clean that first race. I'll go back and I don't even know what happened there, but it was clean. I don't know what else to say about the first race. Second one, not sure what happened to Matt there. I got collected in the last turn there, going up the hill, and I thought my race was over because the car in front of me had damage, and then I figured I had damage, but my lap times were good, so. I was just kind of sitting back there, bumping Brandon, and then Brandon was able. Finally we got the teammates to be able to work together. He let me go on the straight there, and then later on I was battling Leo, and he came up and gave me a little bump, or Brandon did, to be able to clear Leo there. So, and then I pulled a little bit of I was playing nice with Mariano, and it was a couple laps left. I don't know, it wasn't last lap, but it was like maybe 2, maybe 3. And I felt I had a pretty good run. I went to one side, he came over right, I went left. He didn't seem too happy. I know we bumped. I didn't time it quite perfectly, but he gave me some lights, so I'm not sure how upset he was with that, or I'll be talking to him and Andrew and the gang afterwards. So pulled a little bit of a sneaky move on the last lap there, going out of the S's. I saw Leo and him and Andrew and Leo going side by side. I'm like, okay, I'll just time this and get a good run. I got the run, but there wasn't any room because I had Leo to my right, Andrew in front of me. He left just enough of a gap, and I wiggled my way in. So I think it's payback from Zandvoort when I left the door open, and I think he took advantage I think it was literally the last lap. So
yeah.
Anyway,
unbelievable race. Yeah, it's so much fun to watch.
I was gonna say, I'm assuming it looked pretty good from your perspective. It was freaking crazy in the cockpit.
Yeah, because while you're trying to make your comeback to catch the front 4, so they were duking it out all over the place, which probably helped a little bit for you. But it was just chaos up there. Mariano, who it started the whole night at the back of the pack, got himself up there. So by the time the second race got going, he's right in the mix. So that was always interesting. And I got to say, Brendan Whitworth might be a great teammate for helping push you along. He was pushing everybody tonight. Didn't matter what livery was on the car.
Yeah, I think I saw him pushing Leo. I'm like, I didn't say anything over the radio, but I was looking at him thinking, what are you doing? I don't need that.
Oh yeah, he was. Anyone that's in front of him, he was giving him a bit of a push along. So, but it was fun to watch. Such an exciting race right down to the end. Glad that you didn't pick up any damage with the contact with Mariano there at turn 8, and pick up another victory. Man, these things they're not easy, are they?
No, actually, I put probably way more practice in testing for this one because of the heat races. Yeah. If you have a bad first race, you're killed for the second race too. So, yeah, I just made sure that I knew how the car was going to handle and did a lot of side-by-side practice. Literally just going around the track, and I'll stay on the left the entire time, and you stay on the right the next time around. It's like, yeah. So knew the track really, really well.
Yeah. Well, it's a great track, generates some great racing as demonstrated tonight, and sometimes the best driver comes out on top. Sometimes they do it twice in a night. So, Eric, congrats, but I'm sure you got some folks you want to thank for helping to get the wins tonight.
Yeah, I'll make this quick because I know you guys got a bunch. So, Proforma Elite, thank you again for sponsoring us and the league. It's really great. Extreme Motorsports, this is just an incredible league, incredible talent here, a lot of respect, and great racing here. Ricmotech for being the primary sponsor for us. Of course, Apex Racing TV. Shout out to you guys. Always, I cannot wait to watch this broadcast. Of course, my teammates, Brandon, great cooperation on this race. He was quick. It was great to have us battling there with everybody. And of course, I have to thank my wife for letting me do this. It's been a long time since I've been in the interview box. So shout out to her for letting me do this. It's a blast. So thank you guys very, very much.
All right, well, congrats again on the victories tonight. Exciting and fun to watch, but just absolutely just stellar driving from you. Eric Violet, your winner tonight, both races in Club Sport Pro.
All right, Larry, that leaves us, I believe, we've got one more person to bring in here this evening.
The fan club, here we go.
Yeah, we kept them till the end, so we could keep our numbers up for the stream here. If we could, pause for another 10 minutes, we would. Hey, maybe we should take another commercial break now that I'm thinking about it.
Let's get them in here before they revolt.
Exactly. All right, let's bring in the driver of the number 21 Club Sport AM Toyota from Klimovich Racing, David Klimovich, after took both wins here this evening from Interlagos.
David Klimovich, and I gotta say, David, we appreciate you because I think our ratings went up by 3-fold tonight with all the fans here.
Or at least by 3.
The Klim Club is in full support of you. Wins in both races in the Club Sport Am, but having those fans behind you has got to feel good. An extra boost for you.
Oh yeah, I was stoked. I got a few separate groups of people in here from different friend groups and my family and stuff. Everybody's watching on their TVs and pretty hyped. I got to go through all of the group chats and stuff after this.
Yes, you won't want to miss any of it. There's a Doug Klimovich. I'm assuming your father. He's on there. There's a few other of the family, it looks like. And Plain Joe might be my personal favorite.
Yes.
Apparently you tutored him through college. So, but we'll get to the fans in a bit. Let's talk about the race a little bit. You had a great start in that first race. You hung with that front pack. For a minute there, it looked like you might have been mixing it up with the pro class guys for their victory. How tough a pace is that to cling to? Because those guys are fast.
I feel like I was able to hang with them, but where I was really struggling was like when you're coming up into the turn, trying to stay right on top of them and not losing the draft on the exit was where I was starting to lose them. And I'd lose like a couple tenths here and there, and then they just get out of reach, and then they were gone. And I was so worried about either hitting somebody and wrecking them or wrecking myself. And I was just trying to remember that I'm sitting in first for my class. Let's not ruin that.
Good strategy, and it pays off getting wins in both rounds tonight. Looked like the second round you had a good little scrap going there with Jeff Jacobs, one of the admins of the league. And that car is we always say is the widest car in the field if you're trying to get around him.
His defense was absolutely phenomenal. I could not get by him to save my life. I felt like I was getting a good run on him on the last turn before the front straight, and that's really where I was trying to get my speed. And you guys might have saw I got a little loose a couple times because I just overcommitted, and then I'd have to spend a couple laps trying to catch up again.
Yeah, he's a wily veteran to try and make your way around, and he'll always teach a thing or two, but you don't need to be taught too much. You got some pretty good pace here, getting the wins of the AM class on both races, the first and second one tonight. It's a really good showing for you, and I love the crowd cheering you on here in the chat. It's a lot of fun, but I'm sure you got some names you want to give shout out and thanks to for helping support you and getting these two victories.
Oh yeah, I want to shout out to everybody in the Klim Club. Thank you guys for your support. I really appreciate you guys. I think there's too many to list individually. I also want to thank I got a couple of sponsors. My whiteboards, St. Pete Sport Fishing and Ace Calaro. I want to thank those are, I don't know if you saw the logos on the car, with the new livery this week, the P Green 21 machine. And yeah.
Well, awesome job tonight. The P Green 21 machine was fast, and I'm looking forward to seeing how fast you can be in a couple of weeks at our next race. So David Klimovich wins in race 1 and race 2 here tonight, Interlagos. Congrats.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
All right, thanks so much, David. And Larry, my understanding is that Backmarker Bob has already put in an application to join the Klim Club. So we'll see. We'll see.
He might.
Yeah, he should. We'll see. We'll see if maybe he gets his name on the door of the number 21 machine next week. All right, so Larry, let's wrap things up here from Interlagos, and we'll take a look at what we've got coming up in the next few weeks. Next week, and what is next week? It's the week after this. I know
It's
that.
February 12th, Long Beach.
That's right, February 12th. The Ricmotech World Challenge is going to be heading to the West Coast, going to be heading to Long Beach, where we get to see our GT3 and, more importantly, those GTP cars try to make their way around the final hairpin there. And it is going to be a 75-minute race to the checkered flag. Of course, that's going to be 8 p.m. Eastern next Monday night. Then in 2 weeks, February 19th, Touring Car Cup. It's round number 4. We're going to be leaving South America and heading to down under. We're going to be heading to Australia and Phillip Island. We're going to be going back to our single 60-minute race format for round number 4. And again, that is Tuesday night. Probably Monday night, February 19th.
If you thought tonight's racing in Interlagos with its track layout created some wonderful side-by-side racing, Phillip Island is the other track on iRacing Sim that has the exact same sort of feeling. It will be just as exciting. Do not miss it 2 weeks from tonight.
All right, and of course the sports car series for our LMP3 for the dentists and for the GT4 drivers will start up again in late April. Join us then. All right, so for Larry Lefty McLeod, I'm Greg Ginsburg. Thanks again also, of course, as always, to Jonathan Grabowski, who's been working a little bit under the weather here tonight. Hope you feel better, John, and we'll see you next Monday night from Long Beach. Have a great week, everybody.
Ricmotech, high-performance sim racing equipment. There's only one place to go, ricmotech.com.